Welcome into the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today we got a bunch of Commanders news and rumors to cover on today's program. First up, we're going to be talking about a little bit about the free agency targets that are popping up on Commanders Twitter right now. There's 2 last-minute free agency targets that Washington could pursue before the end of the season. That'll be first up. Then we'll get into a top wide receiver draft prospect that has been linked to the Washington Commanders as an ideal fit. Tell you who that is here in just a second as well. And then make sure you stick around for Week 16 playoff clinching scenarios for your Washington Commanders if they win or tie versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, predict it for me before we get into the content today, guys. Will Washington clinch a playoff berth this weekend? All right, will they beat or tie the Philadelphia Eagles, and will the other things need to happen? Give me a yes or a no. Will Washington clinch a playoff spot this weekend in Week 16? Now, we might be in the middle of Week 16 here in the National Football League, but we did get news today that in Week 17, so that's next week, Washington will be playing on Sunday Night Football prime time versus the Atlanta Falcons. That game got flexed into the SNF period there. Atlanta might be playing Michael Penix Jr. at that point, with Kirk Cousins not playing very well. And, of course, Atlanta is also in the playoff race here. So Washington will be playing on Sunday Night Football, and it could be a matchup between 2 rookie quarterbacks, so stay tuned for that. So now let's get into the free agency targets here that I alluded to at the beginning of the show, because there's 2 relatively big names that have hit the open market in recent days. The first one that we'll talk about on today's show is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the former first-round pick running back out of LSU. If you'll remember, he played with the Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase LSU team. That was so freaking dynamic. He ends up going in the first round to Kansas City, and he just hasn't lived up to his draft selection. They ended up releasing him. Has not played a snap of NFL football in the regular season this year. He is still only 25 years old, so he is somebody that still brings a little bit of youth to the table. He's super small, man, 5'7", but he's got a little bit of girth to him. Pause at 207 pounds. Then we get to, the fact that the Commanders have Austin Eckler out with that really nasty concussion. If they feel like they need to add another running back to the room, along with Chris Rodrigiuez Jr. and Jeremy McNichols, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is kind of somebody that was highly regarded coming out of college and could still be very highly regarded with the Commanders coaching staff. So keep your eye on him. Take a look at his career numbers here for CEH. You got 48 games played total, his yards per game total, so that is his rushing and receiving production per game is 54.3. He's got 19 touchdowns in his career to just 2 fumbles, so he does secure the football pretty well, but he has not played this year for Kansas City, even with Isaiah Pacheco having the injury troubles that he has had, and Clyde has had his injury issues as well. So listen, man, because I think CEH is just not a very valuable player, I think that Chris Rodrigiuez Jr. can provide more value as this team's number 2 running back while Austin Eckler is out with that concussion. Chris has had some very good games this year, most notably against the New York Giants earlier in the year when he completely dominated that football game. They had a really good game against the Tennessee Titans a couple of weeks ago as well. You look at Chris's production this year, he's had 27 total carries for 152 total yards on the ground, has a touchdown. So this is somebody that I think should be getting a little bit more production, a little bit more carries. Last week, he only had, I believe, 1 carry to Brian Robinson Jr.'s 21. I think that kind of showed last week, that you have to really look to spread the ball around in the run game a little bit. Wasn't too productive last week when Brian Robinson was the workhorse. I think this week I'd like to see Cliff Kingsbury work in Chris Rodrigiuez Jr. a bit more. The second potential free agency target here is Odell Beckham Jr. Now, Washington fans are very familiar with OBJ because he used to be a superstar for the New York Football Giants. He just ended his stint with the Miami Dolphins, which didn't go too well. OBJ is 32 years old. Man, time really flies, man, but he's 5'11", 200 pounds, so he's kind of a mid-level, or mid-sized receiver, so to speak. He's had a number of major lower body injuries. He had that ACL tear in the Super Bowl, actually, in the 2021 season when the Rams beat the Bengals at SoFi Stadium, if you'll remember that. And he just wasn't very productive this year with the Dolphins. He was semi-productive as a rotational receiver for the Baltimore Ravens back in 2023, but this year was not a good year for OBJ. Once again, dealing with injuries at the earlier part of the year. And, when it comes to bringing in OBJ, he's a former superstar that's really regressed. He's more of a rotational piece now. But are we sure that KJ Osborne is any better than OBJ at this point in his career? Honestly, I don't think either of these guys necessarily moves the needle. I know KJ is trying to get up to speed ever since he signed with the Washington Commanders, or the Commanders claimed him off of waivers last week. So it'll be interesting to see if we see KJ on the field here. But my take on Odell Beckham Jr. here is he doesn't really move the needle for the Washington Commanders if they do bring him in. But at this point, man, with Noah Brown dealing with a kidney issue right now after his rib injury, and you're looking for kind of that mainstay wide receiver too as this team looks ahead towards the postseason, I guess you can continue to take some throws at the dartboard here. And if Odell wants to come play for the Washington Commanders and kind of compete with Luke McCaffrey, De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, and of course KJ Osborne, I wouldn't necessarily say don't do it. But pick a wide receiver for me. Who's the better receiver right now? Type KJO if you think it's KJ Osborne, or type OBJ if you think it's Odell Beckham Jr. In just a second here, I'll be letting you guys know what's still to come in today's video. While I'm telling you about that, make sure you guys go down there and let me know which receiver is the better player. So still to come here on the Commanders Report, we got that top wide receiver prospect that has been linked to the Commanders as an ideal fit for next spring. And then also I got my Week 16 clinching scenarios for Washington. What needs to happen for Washington to secure their spot in the NFL playoffs in 2024 this week? Now, before we get into those, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Gametime, which is focused on togetherness this holiday season. And what that means is when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better. Plus, if you are somebody that hasn't gotten a gift for somebody in your life that you want to get a Christmas present for, Gametime is perfect for you because you can get that last-minute gift, which is really, really cool. Tickets to a live event, especially a Commanders game. If you got a Commanders fan in your life, that would be make you the life of the party for sure and really make somebody's holiday. So Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks, which makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All it takes, guys, is one click of the button, the Gametime Picks button in the event you want to go see, for Gametime to filter through their entire database of tickets to find you the best tickets with the best prices, with the best seats, so that you and your family can get the best deals on any ticket you get to any event. And what I love about the Gametime app is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event you go see. So whether it's a Commanders game at Northwest Stadium, or whether you go to a comedy show or a music festival, doesn't matter. If you get tickets on the Gametime app, it's the lowest price guarantee. You also get all-in pricing right on the app, right up front, so you don't have to get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout. And you can also get flash deals, so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime today. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, guys. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. So Luther Burden III is a highly touted receiver prospect out of Missouri that has been linked to the Washington Commanders as a potential ideal fit by Bleacher Report. This is what the author of this particular article, Brent Soblensky, had to say about Luther Burden to the Commanders. As a true sophomore, Burden was one of college football's top performers, period. Even when Missouri hosted the LSU Tigers, the former's top target was arguably the game's best player, even with two future first-round wide receivers in Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. on the field. Burden caught 86 passes for 1,212 yards during the campaign, which placed him into the top 5 prospect conversation entering the season. Yet the wide receiver barely eclipsed half of the yardage and simply disappeared in certain contests. Not everything falls on Burden, of course, but the NFL will want the previous version. So listen, man, I would go absolutely nuts if the Washington Commanders compare Luther Burden and his dynamic skill set with Terry McLaurin at his age, still playing very good football. In my opinion, should be an all-pro caliber receiver this year and make an AP all-pro team, whether that's first or second team. If you combine those two along with the talents of Jaden Daniels, this is going to be an offense that takes it to a whole nother level in Jaden Daniels' sophomore season and in the second year of the Dan Quinn era here in Washington. And, I think that Burden's probably going to be a top 15 pick, honestly. I think when they look at his skill set, when he jumps out of the gym at the combine this year, it's just not going to be something where he's going to go past pick number 20. All right. I think that he's just so much of a dynamic talent. He was on the same field as Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., two very highly touted receivers in last year's draft class. And like Soblensky said in his article, he was arguably the best player on the field that day. All right. And that he was just a sophomore at that point. So I don't think he's going to end up going to Washington because I don't think Washington is going to have a high enough draft pick to get him. But man, if he falls to the Washington Commanders, wherever they end up drafting, and wherever they end up in the draft order this year, or if the Commanders trade up for him, I would go absolutely nuts because I do think that he would be one hell of a player in burgundy and gold. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. What is the biggest position of need in the 2025 NFL Draft for your Washington Commanders? Is it offensive line? Is it getting another big-time receiver to pair with Scary Terry? Is it tight end again? Is it going to be corner? Is it something else? Let me know down there in the comments section. What's the biggest position need for this football team in 2025? Come draft season. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got daily Commanders videos for you guys for free, daily and informative videos, breaking news coverage this offseason whenever Adam Peters makes a big move, and we also go live for every single, or just about every single Commanders game this year. We will be going live for hopefully some postseason games as well, so make sure you join the over 24,000 people that have already clicked that subscribe button. We are currently the fastest growing Commanders channel anywhere on YouTube, so thank you guys for all of your support. And without further ado, click that subscribe button right now. Now, before I go here, I did promise you guys some clinching scenarios for the postseason for Washington, because if things go the right way for this football team this week, they could lock up their spot in the postseason this week. So if they win versus Philly, obviously that's going to be making things a bit easier. All they need is for the Falcons to lose or tie versus the Giants, and then they need either Seattle to lose or tie versus Minnesota, or the Rams to lose or tie versus New York. So the one that you need for sure is Atlanta to lose or tie, but then if that happens, all you need is either one of Seattle or Los Angeles to lose this weekend to lock up Washington's spot in the 2024 playoffs. Now, if the Commanders tie versus the Philadelphia Eagles, things get a bit more hairy, where you need Atlanta and Seattle to lose, and you need Arizona and Los Angeles to lose or tie. So you need all those things to happen exactly the right way. And then, of course, if the Commanders lose against the Eagles this weekend, they have no chance of clinching a playoff berth this week. But like I said, guys, and like I've said on this show, still got 3 weeks to go. It's not necessarily the end of the world if the Commanders don't clinch their spot this week, but it is possible. So before I say goodbye for the day, make sure you guys go down there in the comments section and spam real one if you made it to the end of today's show. It really does help out the YouTube algorithm when you make it to the end of our shows, because it tells the YouTube algorithm that people are staying to the end. So if you're a real one, make sure you get those comments down there so we know who you are. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we got in-depth informative Commanders coverage every single day for free here on our YouTube channel. So make sure you click that subscribe button and join our family.